Tonight, Australian cricket hit by a sexting scandal. The Test captain forced to resign.
I'm deeply sorry that my past behaviour has impacted our game.
A shock attack on the daughter of a high-profile MP. She was left bleeding and forced to run for help. Freedom Friday, Melbourne masks and begins to bounce back. Retailers caught out and caught in the middle as new vaccine laws kick into action. Danny Laidley goes back to Arden Street for a historic day. And the used cars that are in high demand and making their owners thousands.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a sporting bombshell. Australian cricket captain Tim Paine has quit in tears over a sexting scandal. The 36-year-old resigned after it was revealed he'd sent lewd text messages and a graphic photo to a female co-worker.
It's often called the most important job in Australia after the Prime Minister's, and today the incumbent quit in tears.
I've loved my role as captain of the Australian cricket team, and it's been the greatest privilege of my sporting life to lead the Australian men's Test team.
Test captain Tim Paine, 19 days out from the first Ashes Test.
I'm sorry for any damage that this does to the reputation of our sport, and I believe that it is the right decision for me to stand down as captain, effective immediately.
Paine choosing to walk after a series of sex text messages were made public. He's begged forgiveness from his teammates and wife Bonnie.
They have always stood by me, been my most loyal fans, and I'm indebted to them for their support.
It began with a text exchange with a female Cricket Tasmania employee in November 2017. Paine had just been named to the Australian team after 7 years out.
Tim Paine was another controversial selection.
It started playfully, the woman allegedly saying, "When I'm good, I'm good. When I'm bad, I'm brilliant. Brilliantly bad? I will think naughty thoughts about you whilst we watch the TV. I'm cracking. Naughty thoughts like what? I'm about to give something." We can't finish that line. Sorry, I'm getting ready for work. It's a big day for us kids. There are more, too explicit to publish here. But then Paine allegedly sent a photo of his genitals. The woman found that offensive, complaints were made. But Paine says Cricket Australia exonerated him.
That investigation and a Cricket Tasmania HR investigation at the same time found that there had been no breach of the Cricket Australia Code of Conduct.
Months later, he was appointed the 46th Australian captain.
A chance to restore some pride under a new skipper.
Replacing Steve Smith after the Sandpapergate ball tampering scandal.
Bizarre, strange, horrible 24 hours.
Possibly his thoughts when these allegations went public. Teammates left gobsmacked.
It's a tough one, yeah. It's a tough one at the moment to go into any of that because I don't know the ins and outs of it. I haven't spoken to Tim or the boys.
Today's decision immediately seized on by Cricket Australia. The board has accepted Tim's resignation and will now work through a process with the National Selection Panel of identifying and appointing a new captain. Paine and Bonnie married in 2016 before the text exchanges. He says she knew about this.
We thought this incident was behind us and that I could focus entirely on the team.
He married the cosmetic surgery nurse in April 2016. The text exchange came 20 months later. Paine was appointed Test captain in March the following year. But in June, the woman lodged her complaint. The impact on the father of two, clear to all.
It's an incredibly difficult decision, but the right one for me, my family and cricket.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
The Australian team is on the Gold Coast where some players are in quarantine. Ben Davis is there, and Ben, the team is facing a crisis.
Yeah, Mitch, from a story that, like here in Australia, is making headlines around the world. In England, they are waking up to this as their lead story. Here on the Gold Coast, the team that flew back from the World Cup, the Test contingent, are in quarantine. So there's 8 players there. They were briefed just before Tim Paine told the world what had happened. Now, yes, they were gobsmacked, they were gutted, but we're told by those close to the team that this could galvanise them as well as time goes on. They plan to wrap their arms around Tim Paine when he comes into camp, when the entire squad assembles here in Queensland just under a fortnight's time. Now, as far as captaincy, Two of the players in the hotel behind me, Pat Cummins, the vice-captain, and Steve Smith, the former captain, are leading contenders. Not the only contenders, but the leading ones. The national selection panel will throw a name or names forward to the board. They will then interview those players and then make a final decision. I'm told it won't be rushed, but the clock is ticking. There's only 19 days until that first ball is bowled at the Gabba, December 8, which also happens to be Tim Payne's 37th birthday.
Ben Davis on the Gold Coast, thank you. A high-profile MP has revealed his daughter has been injured in what he claims was a politically motivated attack. Crossbencher Andy Medic believes the assault was linked to his support for controversial pandemic laws.
Panicked and injured, Keelan Medic stumbles down Smith Street into a bar to escape an attacker. A staff member heard her screams and shut the door to keep the man out.
She was saying, he's attacking me, he's going to kill me. Yeah, she was quite frightened.
Keelan is the daughter of Animal Justice Party MP Andy Medic. She said, I was attacked by a man for being political. He chased me down the street and as I called for help, he threw a spray can at my head. Keelan had been spray painting over a poster when she got into an argument with the man and it turned violent.
She'd said to us that she was chased by a man that had altercated with her on the street because she was trying to cover up anti-vaccination graffiti.
Her father believes it could be linked to his support for the government's controversial pandemic bill.
It's time to step up or stand down, to 100% renounce the violent rhetoric, to condemn in no uncertain terms the threats of violence, of rape and death to my colleagues, my friends.
He says he's been desperately worried about threats and now his worst fears have turned into reality. The Premier responded, Andy and I don't agree on everything, but on this we are 100% in agreement. Violence of any form, for any reason, against any person has absolutely no place in Victoria. Keelan spent hours in hospital overnight, her dad at her side, as doctors treated a 3-centimetre gash to the back of her head that needed 3 stitches. The front window of the shop next door was smashed overnight. This morning, staff found a spray can in their doorway, which will be taken by police as potential evidence. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
Melbourne is making the most of newfound freedoms as we bounce back to life. It's operating as close to normal tonight without crowd limits and masks, but there are problems. Some have been caught out by the early easing of restrictions.
A packed pub in St Kilda, setting up for a big wedding in Albert Park, the first chance at a full house in months.
Be able to host things like this again is great for everyone, I think.
Almost no limits, but for some, almost no warning. Just 73% of children between 12 and 15 are fully vaccinated. The last group to join the rollout is understandably coming last, and that means thousands of unvaccinated kids are now locked out of venues and events.
The first that our industry heard about this, and many parents across the state, was last night.
The Dance Arts Alliance says kids' shows planned tonight are now in disarray.
To rob the kids of that opportunity to actually perform and to do their classes in an immediate sense and not give them any forewarning, it's devastating to the children.
I think the vast majority of us have known about that this is coming for a long time and have taken the appropriate action and the actions that are right for us and our situation.
We just want the rules to be clear. I think every Victorian just wants to know what the rules are and be clear about them.
Oh, it's gone from 0 to 1,000, to be honest with you.
At Greenfields, there's such a wedding backlog, they're going midweek.
We're taking Monday weddings, Wednesday weddings, every day of the week.
There are full crowds, but not full staff rosters. Entrecôte shutting down its breakfast after 7 years, unable to find workers. Down the road, this cafe now closes 2 days a week. Same story.
And we're trying to get people for the kitchen, people for the floor. I feel like we're missing a lot of backpackers.
Oh yeah, anyone needs a job, come and give us a shout.
Definitely, it's been a challenge for everyone across the industry.
This Entrecôte waiter approached us so he could explain it.
Come and see us, we've got plenty work. Thank you very much.
And plenty of customers.
Our traders are telling us that their reservations between Monday and Thursday have gone up as high as 60%.
Retailers are scrambling to come to terms with the new COVID rules which ban unvaccinated Victorians from most shops. Jade Vincent is in the city, and Jade, retailers are rushing to adjust.
Yes, Mitch, many of the big name stores like Kmart have a COVID marshal or a security guard at the entrance. Customers are steadily checking in with their vaccine passport, so far without incident. But some of the smaller retailers we spoke to today said they're not quite ready just yet. They don't have the staff to place at the doors and they can't afford to be turning customers away.
Hi, welcome. Can I just check your vaccination status, please?
As long as you have the green tick, it's a VIP entrance.
Come through.
Unvaccinated shoppers can no longer step foot inside non-essential retail. Shop assistants forced to keep them out.
Most of the customers have been quite supportive of the initiative, which is great to see. They understand that it's for everyone's safety.
National retailers like Big W and chain stores appeared to have a streamlined process, employees checking vaccine passports upon entry.
It's just part of life now. So if it keeps us safe, that's what we want.
But some smaller businesses say they simply don't have the capacity.
I'm struggling, to tell you the truth. I'm on my own until about lunchtime, and it's been busy.
We're a small store, and I can't afford to put on more staff just to stand at the door to see that everyone's vaccinated.
Camberwell menswear store owner Simeon Spark says he's not comfortable having to play bouncer.
You're anxious, you do want to make a sale, and to probably ask someone, look, sorry, you're not vaccinated, I can't sell you that suit. Our concerns is, if obviously there's going to be an argument.
The Retail Workers Union wrote to the Premier demanding security guards and a greater police presence around shopping precincts.
There are many workers who are 15, 16, 17 years old in retail. It's simply not appropriate that they be asked to do this job.
The unvaccinated can still enter major shopping centres for essential purchases at supermarkets and pharmacies, but that's as far as they'll get. While Melburnians are breathing a little easier today, masks are still mandatory for retail staff and customers until December 15.
Some of these rules just don't make sense. The fact that you need to wear a mask to try on a pair of jeans, yet you can go to a nightclub and have a dance and not wear a mask.
Jade Vincent, 7 News.
Blake Johnson joins us now, and Blake, the early rule changes are having an immediate effect.
Pete, this wedding behind me is one of the first in Melbourne to make the most of this final change of restrictions. This time yesterday, dance floors were banned. Tonight they're back on, so the guests here have no doubt brought their dancing shoes. And the change in mask rules affects them as well. Ordinarily, all the guests will be wearing masks when they're not seated eating or drinking. Tonight they don't have to, just the staff are wearing masks here. All signs that life is returning to normal pretty quickly. And a huge thanks to Tim and Maddie for allowing 7 News to crash their wedding tonight.
OK, Blake Johnson at Albert Park, thank you very much. Victoria's new mask rules are expected to breathe life back into the struggling CBD. Business leaders are confident the unmasking of office workers will trigger a surge back into the city.
Removing masks removes an obstacle to workers returning to the city.
We know that's what's been stopping workers from coming back in. Now there's no excuse.
Charter Hall property development employees agree mask-free is a lure.
It's just nice to see everyone's faces and smiling back at you as well when you enter the office. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think it's definitely encouraging a lot of people to come back.
And encouragement is desperately needed. During lockdowns, city office occupancy dropped to just 4%.
Just 4% of bums on seats in the office. And what we saw in between lockdowns was that it took 3 or 4 months to get to a peak of only 45% here in Melbourne.
With masks out, employers now urged to insist workers return to the office at least a few days a week. Some feel an obligation.
And really supporting the small traders, you can see a lot of them really struggling.
Will Comley's Docklands Cafe desperately needs workers back to survive.
People need to start buying what we're selling. If there's no one here, it doesn't matter how good our product is, no one's going to buy it.
Come back and patronise the businesses who need you now more than ever.
But the recovery of the CBD is a long-term project. Business leaders say it will take months to get the number of workers back in here up to acceptable levels. Christmas will buoy business, but holidays will delay the workers' return.
We'll really see a surge of economic activity based on the return of office workers from February next year.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Queensland is on track to open its borders almost 2 weeks earlier than previously announced. Authorities now predict the Sunshine State could reopen as early as December the 6th.
It should be well and truly well before December 17th.
Fully vaccinated Victorians will need to have proof of a negative COVID test within 72 hours of travel. Tim Payne wants to keep his place for the first Ashes test. Tim Watson, not everyone agrees he should be at the Gabba.
Mitch, one Aussie great says it's time for Payne to move on altogether. We'll get the latest from Cricket Australia headquarters shortly. Plus, we get exclusive access to some pre-draft pearls of wisdom from the Norm Smith medalist as the stars of the future continue to ride a wave of emotion ahead of Wednesday night. Also, why the AFL could be standing firm on some controversial rule changes. Mitch, was a day of drama for Victoria's Sheffield Shield team. We'll have an update on their COVID scare as well. I'll see you again soon.
OK, thanks very much, Tim. Former North Melbourne coach Danny Laidley has made a surprise return to Arden Street to help celebrate a historic day. Hear from her next on 7 News. Also, a disgraced MP vows he can't be bought off as the Andrews government fights to save its pandemic laws.
What we did get is some embarrassing situations.
Police are going to extremes to find little William Tyrrell. And later, the used cars that are making their owners thousands. The Andrews government's controversial pandemic laws are hanging by a thread as it scrambles to find an extra vote to save it from an embarrassing defeat. The disgraced MP responsible for throwing it into chaos says he's the only one who can't be bought off.
Pounding the pavement of Parliament,
I've came to reclaim my vote, essentially.
Adam Somyurek made his comeback. And you're still voting against the bill?
I am.
That surprise threw the state government into a state of panic this week, given it would tie the numbers in the upper house and derail the pandemic legislation.
Have you had any conversations with the government? Are you negotiating at all?
Look, I'm probably the only MP in this place that cannot be brought off.
They now desperately need a fourth vote, but they won't get it from the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party.
They have to more or less rewrite the bill. I went through it with one of those little sticky note things and I ran out of sticky notes before I ran out of problems.
Or from independent MP Catherine Cumming.
That's pretty much me in a nutshell. I will not be supporting any legislation that will continue on any mandates.
Do you think you have to make major concessions like dropping mandatory vaccine?
No.
Sustainable Australia MP Clifford Hayes could be the one to flip his vote if the state government agreed to add more oversight.
I think that's definitely on the table.
Negotiations with the crossbench will continue over the weekend, and although Parliament isn't scheduled to sit next week, if they can secure a fourth vote, special sitting days could be arranged.
Is that really the way to do business to get pandemic laws through?
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Specialist crews have spent a fifth day searching bushland for the remains of William Tyrrell. Today's focus, a river near the home on the New South Wales north coast where the boy was last seen.
It is a lonely creek bed, a kilometre from 48 Benaroon Drive, and today, the next focal point for one of the most exhaustive forensic digs New South Wales has seen. It is being drained and the muddied creek bed will be examined. John Ollie is here. Accompanied by a police photographer, the hydrologist helped retrieve a piece of blue cloth, roughly 8 centimetres squared. A marker was placed down before it was sealed in an evidence bag, then on its way to Sydney for forensic testing. Bruce Morecambe is very familiar with Professor Ollie's work.
I think there's some remarkable similarities between Daniel's search and the search for William.
In 2011, Professor Ollie helped locate the remains of murdered Queensland teenager Daniel Morecambe. Daniel lay in the ground for 8 years.
It was successful in Daniel's case, and with any luck, they're on the right track.
We're 5 days into the search for William Tyrrell's remains, and today we got the first appreciation of just how big this grid is. Now, up there, where you can see those rural fire service workers, is River Oaks Drive. It's several hundred metres from where police have been searching for the past few days. And over the coming few weeks, they are going to be searching 20 metres deep into all of this bushland, extending up to where you can see the ambulance just behind me.
Police have gagged both experts from speaking publicly. There is a stranglehold on the way this operation is run and how it's communicated. In Kendall, Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
4 men have been taken to hospital after a car driving on the wrong side of the road collided with a truck at Caroline Springs. 21 firefighters responded, crews taking 25 minutes to free a person trapped in the car. The Western Freeway at Hopkins Road was closed for 12 hours following the crash. Danny Laidley has made a rare public appearance to support the North Melbourne Football Club. The former AFL coach returned to the Kangaroos as the club celebrated being debt-free for the first time in 34 years.
Supported by partner Donna and back amongst old friends, it was Danny Laidley's first public appearance in almost 18 months.
I'm very proud today. It's a significant day. It's probably the first time that I've represented my old tribe and my new tribe.
Danny Laidley was the Kangaroos coach when they famously rejected the AFL's lucrative push in 2007 to move to the Gold Coast.
Apart from the rats running across my desk and our old mates in the grandstand would walk down and walk through training, say good morning, it was fun.
Special sort of mention to her because in 2007, when we were really fighting City Hall pretty hard, what we were able to be is incredibly relevant on field.
Behind the scenes, club great Anthony Stevens instrumental in helping Laidley through her recent court issues.
It gives you a very warm feeling that football clubs are very embracing of their people, and we're here for Danny.
The fact Laidley's come out in public is significant. Behind the scenes, 7 News can reveal Danny is now working on what's set to become a landmark documentary. Laidley also holding informal talks about working on initiatives alongside the AFL. Tom Brown, 7 News.
It could be a marvellous night for a moon dance, with a blood moon set to make an appearance. It last happened in May, but this time the moon will be glowing redder and for longer.
You want to get out there early because, again, you get that nice contrast with the horizon, and that's the best chance of colour, but you don't have to be there at a very specific moment. You got a window of about 30 to 40 minutes.
Melburnians can catch a glimpse from 9 minutes past 8. A council is facing a BMX backlash in Melbourne's northeast. Next, pedal power hits back after bulldozers destroyed a popular track. Why the tennis world fears the worst for a missing star. Meghan Markle turns prankster in a strange TV appearance. And the used cars that are in demand making thousands for their owners. Crown is facing another buyout bid, with American investment giant Blackstone making a second takeover attempt. Crown has informed the share market it's received an unsolicited bid from Blackstone to buy all the shares in the company for $12.50 per share. Lower bids were rejected in March and May. A driver who took her eyes off the road for just a few seconds, then hit and killed a pedestrian, has avoided jail. Patricia Micah looked down to check a vase on her passenger seat in Camberwell in 2019. She hit and killed grandmother Astrid Norman. The county court heard Ms Micah was not speeding or affected by drugs or alcohol, and the death has had a deep and serious impact on her mental health. She's been sentenced to a 3-year community corrections order. There's a backlash tonight over a local council's shock decision to bulldoze a bike trail in Melbourne's north-east. It had been there for more than 30 years, leaving Diamond Creek dirt riders devastated.
A track renowned for its bike jumps now completely flat.
I come down, they're dozing the last 3 jumps and I was crying. And I'm a grown man, so I don't know what it did to the kids.
Devastating generations of local BMX riders.
I was 2nd generation here. These kids are probably 4th or 5th generation. It's just really hard to see it, see it go on.
The impact this place can have, I actually bought a house 5 minutes from this area just so I could live close to the trails.
Even if you're having a hard time at school, you just come here and have a ride, clear your mind.
Diamond Creek locals wish they'd been consulted.
It really is, the effort that goes into it, the friendships you make here, the manual labour that goes into it all. These kids have built these jumps by hand.
The Nillumbik Shire Council contacted landowners VicTrack earlier this year, requesting the unauthorised bike jumps be removed. The council says the jumps posed safety risks for riders, while VicTrack points to antisocial behaviour and locals illegally crossing the train lines to gain access.
I do think it's very appropriate to work with council and ourselves and the community to find somewhere appropriate and it is safe. That area is a remote area. Again, there is no fence to the live rail tracks.
All access, you come under the railway. You can get machines in, you can get cars in. Everyone's here for a good time, fun, healthy time.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Tennis bosses are threatening to boycott China over growing fears for the welfare of a star player missing for nearly 3 weeks. Serena Williams has added her voice to the chorus of concerns over what's happened to Peng Shuai.
A 2-time Grand Slam champion vanishes into thin air, and now the world is taking notice.
Based on superficially on the reports that we've seen, that would be a cause for concern.
Former world #1 doubles champion Peng Shuai has not been seen since making sexual assault allegations against a former senior Chinese Communist Party official on November 2.
Honestly, it's shocking, that she's missing. I hope that she'll be found.
Chinese TV read a letter claiming to be from Peng Shuai, saying, "I am not missing, nor am I unsafe. I've just been resting at home and everything is fine."
This was a staged statement of some type. Whether she was coerced into writing it, someone wrote it for her.
Tennis bosses are now threatening to pull tournaments from China unless they prove she's alive. Serena Williams tweeted she's devastated and shocked. Naomi Osaka wrote censorship is never okay at any cost. But fears for Peng Shuai's safety are growing by the day.
I'm sure she's very scared. Obviously, she's scared for her family. She's scared for her friends.
Jacqueline Felgate, 7 News.
Meghan Markle's latest appearance on daytime TV is sure to raise eyebrows at the palace. The Duchess spoke openly about her baby daughter and even agreed to pull pranks.
Eat it like a little chipmunk.
She's a good sleeper, but the teeth are coming in, so, any moms will understand that.
The mum of 2 also sharing a new photo of son Archie. And Prince Charles and wife Camilla have been enjoying their tour of the Great Pyramids of Giza. The future king focused on the environment, saying the sight made him realise if ancient Egyptians could create the pyramids, surely modern people can do something about climate change. Back in London, the Duchess of Cambridge dazzled in a green sequin dress while attending the Royal Variety performance. Car owners are cashing in, selling their vehicles for thousands more than they paid less than 2 years ago. But be warned, there are some hidden costs.
If you're looking for a new car in the new year, you might be in for a long wait.
New cars are really hard to get at the moment.
Supply shortages, shipping delays and shutdowns making a brand new set of wheels hard to come by.
We're not expecting a particularly big improvement in new car supply until the end of 2022.
So impatient buyers are turning to used cars. The models fetching the most include the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, Nissan Patrol TI 4-wheel drive and Volkswagen Tiguan, selling for 5 to 15% more than the drive-away price. While a second-hand Mitsubishi Triton Ute or Subaru Forester is still the same value, as it was brand new.
We've seen evidence of people being offered $6,000 more than they paid for a Toyota RAV4 hybrid.
If you're lucky enough to make some extra cash selling your used car, you'll still have to pay for a replacement, including higher on-road costs.
Insurance has gone up because the value of used cars, the cost to buy a used car has gone up.
A family with a young driver, someone under 25, will now pay on average an extra $208 to insure their 5-year-old medium-sized SUV. Elliot Chipper, 7 News.
Christmas battle lines are being drawn as retailers fight for your dollar. Next, what they're doing to win us back. Also answers on a wartime secret, an unknown sailor finally named after 80 years. And why Sunday will bring good news for drivers in Melbourne's southeast. Commuters in Melbourne's southeast will spend less time on the road with the opening of the new Mordialloc freeway this Sunday. Trucks will be taken off residential roads and there's a shared path for cyclists and pedestrians.
By having this investment in this new 9-kilometre stretch of freeway means that people in the local community can get home safer and sooner.
The stretch links the Mornington Peninsula Freeway at Springvale Road to the Dingley Bypass. An 80-year-old mystery has been solved with the identification of the so-called unknown sailor from the wartime sinking of HMAS Sydney. Tom Clark was just 20, his body the only Australian one to be recovered after the 1941 battle.
The longest voyage finally at an end. As they lay a wreath to mark the moment, the unknown sailor is known again. 21-year-old Thomas Wellesby Clark.
In youth and strength and loyalty, he gave everything mortal souls can ever give.
Able Seaman Clark was one of 645 crew aboard HMAS Sydney when she was sunk 80 years ago today. The flagship of the fleet taken by a German raider disguised as a Dutch trade ship just 200 kilometres off the West Australian coastline. It is our greatest maritime disaster. Only one body was ever found on board a life raft washed up on Christmas Island 3 months later.
I'll never erase the memory I have of him in that lifeboat.
For the niece of the former Brisbane accountant, mixed feelings.
A bit distressing, really. The truth is the main thing, and I'm so grateful.
The Sydney was discovered 2008. Identifying the unknown sailor took far longer. DNA forensics providing the final key.
We're very pleased that that mystery has been solved because it does bring closure to the whole Sydney mystery.
So an 80-year mystery solved. Decades of exhaustive research and investigation has led to this singular breakthrough. The unknown sailor gets his name and identity back. A reminder to all that they may be gone, but will never be forgotten.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Drivers faced an incredible wall of water as they passed along a road in the Dorrigo National Park in northern New South Wales. Drivers still managed to pass through, but it could become even more dangerous in coming days. Finance news now, and a check on the markets, and the ASX 200 closed 17 points higher. Gambling companies were among the top performers. Shares in AGL fell, now more than half the price they were a year ago, while the Australian dollar is currently trading at 72.81 US cents. Cyber experts are warning Australians some of the hottest deals online are too good to be true. Millions of Australians are preparing to splash their Christmas cash online and in store.
It's always been in store, taking a test drive or even a test twist.
Oh, wow.
Today, Dyson was taking try before you buy virtual in 3D.
Really see in real time or actually feel the technology.
After COVID, a push for more sophisticated browsing online for VR goggles, smartphones. As a new Finder survey says, this year we'll see a Christmas shopping first.
More Australians will shop during Black Friday than they will on Boxing Day.
With deals already on offer.
Yeah, I think shoppers are trying to get things done a little bit earlier, especially this year when you talk about all the shipping delays.
And after being cooped up by COVID,
we know that our consumers are returning in droves to our physical centres. It's about that kind of sense of community and getting out and about amongst things like Santa and reindeer.
But as experts predict another big Christmas for online spending, it's also shaping up to be a record year for online shopping scams. So far this year, online shoppers have lost around $6.8 million to scams, with around 18,000 Australians reporting they've fallen victim. It's more than $1 million more than at the same time last year.
Look for contact details. Also look to see that the site is secure and reputable. If it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Men and women have been called to stand up against family violence on White Ribbon Day. The organisation says domestic violence has been a silent killer during the pandemic.
But it makes it very difficult also for victims to reach out for help when they're actually, confined in spaces where they are with the perpetrator of the violence.
One woman is murdered every week in Australia by a current or former partner. Melbourne is famous for its colourful laneways, and now anyone can get their hands on their own piece of the artwork. 25 laneways have been transformed to mark the end of lockdown, and the designs are up for grabs. That's coming up a little later tonight. Sport is next with Tim Watson. And Tim, it's another dark day for Cricket Australia.
Mitch, the England press are having a field day with Tim Paine's sexting scandal on the eve of the Ashes. Coming up, what next for Cricket Australia as a defiant Paine declares he wants to keep his spot in the Test team. Plus, exclusive access as Christian Petrarca gives this year's hottest draft prospects some final words of wisdom, and why some controversial rule changes could be here to stay for 2022. Welcome back. Cricket Australia is in crisis talks tonight as the fallout from Tim Paine's bombshell sexting scandal continues. Laura Spurway is at Cricket Australia headquarters. And Laura, it's set to be a baptism of fire for Pat Cummins.
Certainly will be, Tim. Now, he's digesting all of this from quarantine in Queensland at the moment. And while he's very likely to be named the next captain of Australia, it does throw up an interesting dilemma as to who would replace Pat Cummins in his current role of vice-captain. Does the selection panel look back to Steve Smith, who was banned from any leadership position after the Sandpapergate scandal for 2 years, but he's now eligible to lead again? Or do they look to someone new like Marnus Labuschagne, who Tim Paine himself has identified as a potential future captain? Now, it was just this week that Pat Cummins was actually speaking about what a captaincy role would look like for him.
If I was in the role and I found it tough, at times there's 10 other guys I'd lean on out in the middle. You've got people like Smithy and Davey Warner who are incredibly experienced, all the bowlers experienced, look after themselves pretty well. So I'd have no issue, handballing it over to other people to help out.
Now, Tim Paine is adamant that he wants to play, but that is no guarantee given these revelations. There are a couple of options in the Australia A squad that could replace him. Alex Carey is probably the most likely, while Matthew Wade could be called up after the T20 World Cup win if he gets through with that side strain issue that he has. But not everyone thinks that Tim Paine deserves to keep his spot.
I'd say it's going to be tough for him to hold his spot in the team now. I just think he's 36 years of age. He's coming back from injury. He's got this scandal hanging over his head. I mean, there's a lot of things against Tim Paine now.
So an uncertain few weeks for the Aussies, Tim. Just terrible timing before the Ashes.
Indeed. Thanks, Laura. And it's been a drama at state level too, with Victoria and New South Wales forced to abandon day one of their Sheffield Shield clash after all-rounder Will Sutherland tested positive to COVID. Players spent the day isolating in their hotel to undergo further tests. If they return negative, play will likely get underway at the SCG tomorrow morning. With just 5 days until one of the most intriguing AFL drafts in recent years, Victoria's hottest prospects have been given an up-close look at life in the AFL bubble. 7 News was granted exclusive access as Premiership star Christian Petrarca offered up some pearls of wisdom to the stars of the future.
Next Wednesday, Nick Dacos will join Collingwood. Today, he was squeezing in last-minute preparation, picking the brain of Norm Smith medalist Christian Petrarca.
You talk about staying present. During the week of the granny, did you allow your mind to wander to the game and visualise the game, or are you more trying to just focus on each day as it came?
The father-son prodigy alongside leading draft hopefuls in a 2-day Red Bull training camp. Activities including surfing, mental tips from Ash Barty's mind coach, and insight from leading AFL players ahead of a night that will change their lives.
The nerves are there naturally. I know that I'll end up at Collingwood, but just going through the whole process of the draft night and everything, it'll be really special, and I'm trying to enjoy the experience.
Petrarca delivering a kicking session and a tour of the MCG, where Dacos will hope to emulate his legendary father.
It'd be a dream come true. Hopefully we can train hard and bring it to fruition.
Top 5 midfield prospect Ben Hobbs, linked to Hawthorn and Richmond, daring to dream at the prospect of running out on the home of footy.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, it's something I'm thinking about a little bit. It'd be really special, but again, like wherever I go, hopefully end up playing out here one day.
The Horsham product, a senior premiership player just days after turning 15 in his hometown 3 years ago.
I think that was a big moment for me, and yeah, the nerves were pretty high in that game, and I think, yeah, I really learned a lot out of that experience.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
A pair of controversial AFL rule changes could be here to stay. Chief football reporter Tom Brown joins us live. And Tom, the league's new football boss dropped a big hint today.
Tim, Bradcott's given the strongest hint yet this off-season. The stand rule and the medical sub will stay next season. Richmond boss Brendan Gale slammed the stand rule last week. The AFL's currently speaking to clubs, in particular coaches, but broadly they seem happy with the current look of the game.
Look, it's fair to say we're probably looking at consolidating some of the changes that have recently been made.
Tim, meantime tonight, North Melbourne's debt-free. They've retired about $9 million of debt in 10 years, an incredible achievement. Chairman Ben Buckley reaffirming their position they won't move the club to Tasmania.
We've always said that Arden Street is our home and will always be our home, and we'll be here for the next 150 years.
And I'll leave you with one on Hawthorn tonight. Tim Shearer is vying for a board position. He agreed today on radio there's been a misalignment at the club, very critical of their list strategy and not going with youth. Tim?
Thanks, Tom. And Mitch, are you excited about another Dacos joining the Pies?
I am very excited about that, Tim. I'd happily have 18 Dacoses in the team if I could.
And that would be a winning team.
Yes, it would. Thank you very much indeed. Melina Saris is next with the forecast, live from South Wharf. And Melina, how's this weekend looking?
Well, Mitch, it is staying dry, which is good news. We will even have some sunshine, and it's warming up at the start of the week. I'll have all of those details right after the break. We are live from outside the Munich Brauhaus in South Wharf for Friday night dinner and drinks. It is the first time venues like this can go to full capacity. There are no longer any density limits. The sky's the limit. Speaking of the sky, it was cloudy today, but it will be staying dry and mild tonight. It was still 21 degrees at 10 p.m. in the city last night, but a change moved through in the early hours and we dropped to a low of 13. We had a cooler top of 17 today. Out here now, it is sitting on 15 degrees. A high pressure system over the Bight extends a ridge across Bass Strait and Tasmania. During the weekend, the ridge won't move much at all, while a trough lingers over northern Victoria. So the weekend should stay mostly dry with temperatures in the high teens, but at the start of the week we'll have plenty of sunshine and warmth, with the mercury climbing into the mid-20s, much more like the spring we like to see. Around the nation tomorrow, sunny and 31 in Brisbane, showers developing in Sydney with a possible storm, a shower or two in Adelaide, 21 degrees, and sunny in Perth with a top of 28. Back to Victoria, just the north and the east of the state could see some showers or patchy rain tomorrow, mainly about the Mallee and East Gippsland. It'll be fine. We can expect a cool and mostly cloudy day with moderate southeasterly winds. Closer in, partly cloudy over the suburbs tomorrow. There's just the slight chance of a shower over the northwestern suburbs. Otherwise, it's staying dry with light southerly winds. We'll have top temperatures mainly around the high teens. In the city tomorrow, tomorrow, a cloudy morning, but we should see plenty of lovely sunshine in the afternoon. 10 overnight before a top of 18 degrees. Sunday is cloudy but mostly dry, a top of 19. Then we warm up with a mostly sunny top of 23 on Monday. Tuesday is partly cloudy and 26. A shower or two on Wednesday, but staying warm, 24. And showers are forecast on Thursday and Friday with some cooler temperatures as well. But a cloudy morning, then a sunny afternoon in the city tomorrow. We are heading for a top of 18 degrees, Mitch.
A little bit more spring-like. Thank you, Melina, at South Wharf. You can now get your hands on original street art thanks to a new pop-up store in the city. And all of the money raised flows back into the artists' pockets. Sonia Marinelli explains how it works.
Fancy owning a piece of laneway art? Well, now you can. After checking out the city's new street murals, head in here to this pop-up store on Little Collins Street.
You can have it on a t-shirt, you can buy it for a wall at home, and this is unique street art.
And while you're there, you can also buy some vibing tunes from emerging Melbourne musicians.
It's pretty exciting. You know, if someone picks it up and someone likes the artwork and goes home and likes the music, that's really amazing.
It's all thanks to the Flash Forward initiative supporting Melbourne creatives. 80 artists have been tasked with jazzing up the city's famous laneways.
Grab a map that's available, come on into the city and you really will be surprised and delighted.
And there's no shortage of laneways to browse. A total of 27 have been transformed with these giant artworks right around the city. And there'll be more added to the list. It's a lifeline for the industry with 100% of profits from every sale made flowing directly back to the artists and musicians.
It is the money, but I think it's also the recognition, it's the fact that we're proud of them and what they do.
I guess being part of Flash Forward and them supporting us in our music has really given us a lot of hope.
While reviving the beat of the city.
Comes back like a boomerang.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
And that's the way it is this Friday, the 19th of November. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, have a great weekend. Good night.